Hi. Just wanted to talk a bit about the most recent work I'm doing because it's a little bit of a sort of sidestep from what I've been doing for the last year or so. I've made a conscious decision to kind of use some paler colours and use some white, having used a lot of very bright and kind of neon punky colours all year. As usual, I've got bored with that and suddenly woke up a couple of weeks ago and just thought, oh, I want to really do some pale, sort of papery things and spend some more time working on the textures. And just shift things forward a little bit, progress from what I was doing with the charcoal drawing, but still using the drawing. I suppose one of the things that I'm engaged with is how to bring drawing into painting, into oil painting, how to combine it with painting. One way is what I have been doing, which is by using charcoal and sort of painting around it, fixing the charcoal on the canvas with varnish and painting around it and painting through it, which has been very successful, but it's become a little bit... I've found it to become a little bit formulaic, and I'm thinking I'm getting a little bit lazy, and although my drawing's really improved because I've been doing a lot more of it than I had been previously. And so I'm just sort of thinking of ways forward, and obviously being a printmaker myself and having worked quite a lot in etching and lithography over the years, one way of doing it is to actually etch through the paint into the canvas. So if there's a darker colour behind and a lighter colour on top, which is exactly what's happening here, you can obviously scrape through using whatever you want and make a drawing and then still have the paint there. So I'm quite pleased with this one. I'm not sure if it's quite finished, but it's not going to change a huge amount. What originally got me started on it was I was thinking, well, earlier this year, I curated an exhibition with four other artists and a writer, and we were looking at the ways in which graphic design, pre-digital graphic design, sort of 1960s, 70s and 80s to mid-80s, had influenced our work as sort of older, fine artists, I suppose, as we are now, 60-ish artists. One of the graphic designers who really influenced me was Peter Saville, who worked for Factory Records, amongst others. And one of the sort of seminal LP covers that he designed was this one by New Order. The LP is called Power, Corruption and Lies. I think it was maybe 1980, 2. Second LP they did anyway after Joy Division sort of imploded. And what Peter Saville did was he used just a postcard of this flower painting, or actually a section of the postcard. It's a close-up of it. The painting's much bigger. And it's by a guy called Henri Fantin-Latour. And I had found a book by this Henri Fantin-Latour. In fact, I've got it here in a junk shop in Lewes. I spend a lot of my time in junk shops. This is it, and I was looking through it, and I thought, this actual one isn't in there. But I recognised the name, and I couldn't work out why, and suddenly it came to me, I think that's the same guy who's credited in tiny writing on the inside sleeve of this. And sure enough, it was. And so it all sort of linked up, and I love that kind of, link up stuff, serendipitous stuff. So that sort of got me thinking, okay, I might maybe have a go at some of these Henri Fantin-Latour paintings and see what I can do with them. So I've been making some charcoal drawings. They're very, very colourful and very chocolate boxy and absolutely not the sort of paintings I want to do. But I thought, well, if I take all the colour out of them and sort of do them in black and white and then sort of put some colour around them, which is what I've been doing with the old masters I've been doing, that might be a way that I can kind of cope with all the colour. Another thing that Peter Saville famously did was he put these sort of colour coding on the side. So there'd always been, I think it's actually on the inside cover as well, yeah. Barney Bubbles, another one of my favourites, also used to do this. And it was this sort of tricolour printing process where they'd have a little sort of test strip on the side away from the image that was printed, just to check that all the colours were aligned. And so they brought this into the actual design, both of them. And that's something I've always been keen on, sort of taking the colour out of the thing, which I did a couple of the Velázquez lemons, and I did the lemons in black and white, and then I put the yellow around the lemons. And that's something I find very appealing. I don't know why, but just sort of splitting up the image between colour and form and line. And again, this is something I'm really working on with this. So I did a few of these, leaning over. I did a few of these flower paintings, and they're sort of going okay. And then I was taking the rubbish out the other morning, and I noticed that this beautiful little Californian poppy was growing out of the gravel by the bins at the front of our house. And this is, I took a photo of it on my phone, and this is it. And you know, it's like, what is it, the 6th, 7th, 8th of November? Unbelievable. This summer flower is growing. Shows how warm it's been and all the rain we've had. But so this is that. So it's not a Fontaine Latour one. It's actually a real flower. And it has this lovely bud here, which you can't really see in the photograph, but it came out much better on the drawing. And I was sort of, what I found appealing about it was that I feel myself to be a political being, but I don't really make overtly political art or political statements. I have done in the past, but I don't now. But with all the stuff going on at the moment, with these various wars in Ukraine and obviously in Israel and Palestine now, it does get you down, and I am aware of it. I can't watch too much of it on the television because I just find it so depressing and there's nothing I can do about it. But one of the things that struck me about this poppy was that that sort of flower will be the first thing that starts growing when the bombing stops in any of these regions that are getting bombed. I mean, Syria is at the moment as well, and has been for years. So it's not just those two places, it's all around the world. But poppies have obviously existed for as long as human beings have been stupidly having wars with each other. And from prior to human beings as we know them now being on Earth, presumably. And so they have been a constant. They really haven't changed all that much. I guess they probably will have adapted, but not in a few 100,000 years. It would take millions of years, you know. And so they are beacons of hope, these sort of flowers that can grow in very, very poor soil, damaged soil, burnt soil, and provide beauty and visual solace in areas that are very bleak and barren, and that includes war zones, and obviously famously in Flanders fields after the First World War. And so I think that's one of the reasons that it attracted me. I like the idea of the white poppy. I know they've been using white poppies as well as the red poppies for Remembrance Day, which is coming up, to signify someone who is, you know, supportive of the ex-soldiers and military, but actually is a pacifist, and I really like that idea. I've never been able to find one of these white poppies. I'd like to wear one rather than the red one myself. But anyway, I thought that's quite a nice idea. So doing a white poppy, albeit a Californian poppy and not a red one, sort of seemed to make sense to me. Yeah, that was about it really, and it was just sort of showing how I get my inspiration from a lot from graphic design, and which is all in my own head as well, but also from historical artists, normally, you know, 17th century artists, but from Fontaine Latour was a sort of late Victorian and Edwardian kind of period, so it's a bit late for me really. But he did concentrate on flower paintings for a lot of what he did. That's about it really. It's quite a long video, it probably might be a bit boring. Anyway, it's there, so I hope you enjoyed watching it, and in the meantime I might just take this, if I can get this off its little stand, and I'll just do a quick little go round of the painting close up so you can hopefully see. Okay, thanks very much.